Hi, welcome back to channel TrainStation2. Alright, we got double first in this first competition, both from the union as well as my ranking in terms of the ranking chart. Alright, so this is the start of the first competition. As usual, you need to prepare lots of those items as much as you could, stuff it all in the warehouse as well as the factory. So first competition wise, you will know what's required. So generally, when it comes the first set of items are normally non-event items, so you're just going to quickly fulfill them before they'll generate new jobs that probably asking about those event items and a combi with the non-event item. So as usual right now, that's how it works for every single event. This is normally the case for the first competition. As we move forward towards the second competitions and so forth until the last, what you got to really do is to prepare the EP head start. Alright, so timing is important. I always start about 10 to 12 hours late. You can see just now, really lucky again. We met our only competitor in the chart. So that is a good timing, which means that we have a head start as compared to other players who join into this ranking chart later. So imagine you have a 2 to 3 hours head start. That makes lots of differences. Alright, so in terms of the second competition, I'm going to mention again the EP head start. So you got to do jobs by keeping them the 3 completed jobs and not collect them until the start of the second competition. Whatever EP you're going to collect once you start collecting the 3 jobs at the start of the competition, i.e. the second competition, that would be your EP that you clocked straight ahead, and basically that gives you advance in terms of the chart ranking. So that is the EP here I'm talking about. Alright, so now back to this first competition itself. Alright, before that, let's quickly check out the reward charge. As usual, there will be containers, there will be gems that you can collect, and there will definitely be parts and coins and keys and whatnot. But the price is here. There's beautiful train. You can look at here, the legendary train with a high capacity of 80, steam engine starting capacity of 40. You can imagine that versus your region legendary is only 20 and the caps of 60 limit. So that is the one that you should fight for it. And this drill masters looked really familiar. I think I have this. Right, so here we have a stone crusher. Definitely looks somewhat familiar as well. Utility shuttle. So this is crawler crane. Oh my god, I think it just looks so familiar that I was stunned for a moment just now, because it could be a recycled design I'm thinking about. So I'm gonna check that out later on and you witness yourself. Alright, so very quickly, this is a generally overview of the map. So everything is collapsed, and you're just gonna do your part to save everything else. Alright, now I'm gonna hunt for the very familiar trains that we're talking about just now that stunned me for a moment. Alright, let's quickly hunt for it. Alright, so I think this is the one. It's exactly the same. Drill Master. Alright, so this is Drill Master for you. Alright, so I've already got this steam engine earlier, and some other construction events, but we have a big hook then. There isn't one right now. Alright, so let's show you this interesting bit of it. Alright, so this big hook was what I got then from the construction event, and this looks a bit familiar. Like I said just now, was a bit stunned, although we call it the excavator. Alright, so this is really cute in terms of bring back memories, because you can see it's many region before, and we have a cement zone then, which you do not have it right now. Alright, so I move forward and let's see whether we could locate another familiar train to show it to you. Alright, I don't think I have that yet. Alright, so nonetheless, these are some of the trains that I have collected. Then these are really brings back memories. Like the first one is Christmas train, and there'll be many other ones like Frosty as well. This is Japan event, the Sakura. Multiple trains to collect along the way with the events that brings back memories. And of course, as we move forward, more and more trains we collected, some very beautiful ones, especially those anniversaries, the birthdays ones of Pixel Federation that they give for free. So this really been some time. I mean, we are now in Region 9. Just imagine how many months or years ago we have played that and we won those legendaries from the construction event. Alright, so now very quickly, let's go back to this first competition. Everything is in a mess. We're just going to quickly fix them up. Before that, let's see what we required. I remember there was a requirement of nails, lots of it. I didn't really prepare lots of nails in this instance. I should have, but nonetheless, I think that's perfectly fine. I think we just get the stuff ready, whatever we could, and we're gonna push forward. Having the head start by starting late in the ranking chart gives us a bit of advantage over those people who start later. As well, I think it's important to start late to avoid strong competitors. So imagine you have been so anxious, and the moment the competition starts and you jump straight into it. Congratulations, you are grouped together the most excited, strong competitors. Alright, so that's how I always want to avoid starting on time. I used to start on time. I know I'll be like, maybe if I'm lucky, within top 10. Extremely lucky within top 5, but never among top 3, right? Because those are the gem spenders. If I start late, yes, I may still meet gem spenders, but probably 1 or 2. But you start on time, you'll meet probably a full list of them, right? So that's the great difference in terms of that context. Having a small warehouse is important. You do some housekeeping, bring those stuff that you do not require out of your warehouse straight into the bins. Likewise, a lot of housekeeping is required for the small odd number items that you definitely be no use. So these are the things you're going to do in order to create space. Alright, so of course the other way is to basically put in stuff, i.e. the raw materials, into the manufacturing line that requires more material. So again, like an example, you require just a set of clothing that's 350 items, vis-a-vis a table is 150 items. So in that context, you are saving 200 space by creating that set of clothing. So right example, this is how it works. Likewise, the books, you need 440. So like things like this, it will help you save a bit of space, and you're just going to remove all those odd number items that is useless. That's normally how you manage with a small warehouse. But of course, these are all redundant if you have an extremely huge warehouse. Congratulations. For me, unfortunately, don't really have that luxury of a warehouse space. The importance of having the 5 building technique then was to create population by completing the building request. Having a 5 building technique means lay out 5 buildings. In that context, yes, it's still possible. I've been reading some forum and they said it's still possible to use the 5 building technique. It's just that you will not be able to upgrade your warehouse if you do not lay out all the buildings, because you're required to lay out all the buildings before you reach the entitlement to do another upgrade by a certain population. So if you do not lay out your buildings, you pack them into the inventory box, your population will be low, hence you can't fulfill the requirement. But again, it will be quite cumbersome for me to keep on keeping all the buildings in order to start the 5 building technique, and then to bring them out to see whether have I achieved that warehouse. So I thought that is really cumbersome for me. So I decided to give up in terms of the 5 building technique at this juncture, and then just lay out all the buildings and see how things work out. So generally, that's my point right now, that 5 building technique is still possible, although it's quite cumbersome to check in terms of the warehouse space requirement by population. So that aside, the rest of the things is about the same. Laying out the buildings is just make the town busy, right? Likewise, have a good look at all the buildings that you have. So the event factory, I must say, you must at least spend 30 gems to upgrade 1 slot in order to gain an advantage against your competitors. If you are just stuck with 2 slots, yes, you can carry on with production, but at a much lower pace. If you can afford it, spend another 80 gems in order to create another slot, but that will be 110 gems in total. I used to do that when I'm more gem rich, but at this current juncture we couldn't afford that, so I'm just stuck with three of those slots itself. In terms of factory, the core factories, just make sure you upgrade full list, and so that you act as your interim warehousing. Always mention this when you put in your raw materials, that would eventually store the production, because the output tray is maxed out, and you continue to put in materials into the in tray. That would be basically your interim warehouse, which you store all those raw materials you can cancel. For example, a chair, you get back your nails and timber. Alright, so that's how you use it in terms of extra warehousing. And of course, the output tray is directly understood the fact that whatever you don't collect sits there. That also acts as your warehouse. Alright, instead of using your warehouse space, that's how you use the input and output tray of each of the core factories. The event factory, just make sure they have enough supplies to keep on producing round the clocks, because you only have 2 or 3 slots. But if you're richer, you can get more, then by all means do so. Alright, so of course, people who pay, they will get an additional factory as well as additional dispatcher. But people like us, free to play, we don't have that luxury. We just got to plan really well. So generally, these are a few points to take out. Alright, so in terms of trains, likewise, it's important to upgrade your trains. One of the those event legendaries to 80 capacity, and then you just try to max up the rest. Eventually, that will benefit your current region's jobs. Likewise, when you go to the next region, for example, they'll be asking trains from the current region as well as the next region. So you always got to build a strong foundation before you move on to the next region, because whatever you build in this so-called region, you will be able to use it in the immediate new upgrade to the new region competition, because it's always asking of 2 regions, now and previous. Alright, so that's how it work out. And in certain events that run probably a couple of times a year, they may ask for previous regions that you haven't seen for a while. Right, so that is also important. And something to share, I mean, as you move forward, it's getting more and more expensive to upgrade trains. But what I'm going to share is really having those trains that are not fully upgraded in the very old regions are really good, because especially in the Train Tycoon, I expect you to upgrade trains. You can upgrade those trains that in the previous region very cheaply, so that will fulfill the Train Tycoon requirement, and you can climb ranking chart for that as well. Alright, so that's generally how you play it in terms of TrainStation2. And always remember, do not rush TrainStation2. There's no benefit in changing a region besides the face, also called the interface itself. But generally, it's important to play it slow. Alright, so we have made it to the first spot by working really hard, and you can see a huge gap there. The union wise, likewise, very strong union members. Congratulations to all union members, and we got first as well. So that's very lucky. Just collect a bit more of those U points, and I'm going to use it subsequently. Alright, so with this, we got an extra icon as well. I'm going to go to HQ to show it to you, and then eventually I'm going to switch back to my Santa Claus, of course. Alright, thank you for watching. Do like and subscribe. Thank you again, and good rest. Goodbye.